Project scheduling. In project scheduling, the project manager must decide what are the tasks to be performed in this project. He must include all the required tasks while scheduling the project. While scheduling the project manager must keep some important points in his mind. He has to perform some tasks. These tasks are, the first one is break down the project into small manageable units, small manageable parts. This will help the project manager to manage the project very easily. Complexity and confusion will be decreased. So, the project must be divided into small parts. The next one is the identified tasks must be correlated. Means several tasks will be identified. In these several tasks, some tasks are related to each other. These related tasks must be correlated, must be grouped as a part. Similar tasks must be grouped as a part. And the third one how to do is calculate time required for each task. You have to calculate for this task how long time it takes. For this task how long time it takes. Like that, you have to calculate time period for each task. And next item is you have to divide the entire time as work units. The time must be divided as work units, and these work units must be assigned for each task. Finally, he have to calculate the total time required to complete the entire project, that is in work units. The project manager finally must calculate the entire time required to complete the project. It must be calculated in the measurement of work units. This is the activity, and these are the steps which are included in project scheduling. Resource management. Resource management is also important activity. For developing the software, so many resources are required. That may be human resource, that may be hardware resource, technical knowledge, like that. So many resources are required. So these resources must be allocated. These resources must be managed carefully. Otherwise, the project may not continue smoothly. First of all, the project manager must decide what are the resources available, what are the human resources available. He have to decide, and he have to give responsibilities to each project team member. This module can be handled by this team of persons. This particular person can handle this task. Like that, the project manager must allocate human resource. Next, the project manager must also calculate the resources required at each stage. There may be different stages in project development. At every stage, different types of resources are required. So before starting everything, the project manager must identify, must decide what are the resources required at a particular position. At a particular stage, this much of human resource is required. At another stage, this much of technical resources are required. Like that, at different stages, different resources may be required. So the project manager must identify what are the resources required at different stages. This is also very important task in resource management. Another important task in resource management is he have to generate resource request. He have to generate resource request and he have to generate some reports also. Like that he can manage resources. For a particular stage, some resources are allocated. And at another stage, some resources are allocated. Let us see. Let's discuss an example. At a stage, some resources are allocated. And after completion of the stage, those resources must be released. Those resources must be used for another stage. Like that, allocation and releasing of resources also very important. The project manager must identify all these. Which are the resources will be used in which stage? In which stage, at which time these resources will be released? These resources utilization will be completed. If the utilization of those resources is completed at a particular stage, then these must be forwarded for another stage. These must be forwarded for another area. And at that area, again, these resources must be used. Because it's not possible to purchase required resource at every stage. This will increase the software development cost. Actually, for every organization, the resources will be limited. So these limited resources must be used carefully without purchasing extra resources. So this resource management is also very, very important task. Project risk management. In every task, there will be some risk. In our general projects also, there will be some risks. Similarly, for software projects also, there will be so many risks. These risks must be identified. These risks must be managed carefully. What will be the reason? What is the cause of risk in software development? This risk may lead to so many problems to the software company. So the project manager must identify the reasons for the risk. What are the risks that may rise? All these come under risk management. First, let us see what are the reasons for risks in software development. The first one is sometimes experienced staff may leave the company. Then what happens? Suppose a project is already started. So many employees are appointed for the project. In those employees, some experienced staff may get some other opportunity in other companies. They may leave the current project. They may leave the current company. Then what happens for the running project? This is one risk which must be expected by the project manager. The project manager must expect what to do when if any employees move from this company. And another risk is change in organization. The organization rules, the client company details, the client company procedures may change. That is another cause of risk. And one more cause is the requirements will be changed. That means at the beginning stage, the client have given some requirements. After completion of some period, the client may contact the software company again and he will say, I want some other requirements. These requirements are not used. These cannot be used. I want these extra requirements. Like that, the client may give some other extra requirements. He may change his decision. In this case also, again, all the completed work will be wasted. This is one risk. This is one type of reason that may raise to risk. And another reason is underestimated time. The time will be underestimated. Suppose the project manager estimated the time, cost, effort, everything. While estimating, he underestimated the time. For example, he estimated the time that is to complete the project is say some 3 months, but that may be wrong. In this case, it may take another 3 months. Then it leads to some other risks. And there may be change in technologies. There may be change in environments. Let us see what is technological change. Suppose a bank automated their branches. Now they are going to introduce another technology, ATM machines. Then they contacted the software company and they mentioned, I want another extra facility for ATM machines. Like that, there will be change in technologies and there will be change in environments also. All these will lead to risk in software development. These must be identified prior. What to do when risks are arise? Another one, activities involved in risk management. There are several activities involved in risk management. Those are identification, categorize, manage, and monitor. Let us see each one. First one is identification. I have to identify the possible risks. What are the possibility of risks? What risks may raise? All these risks must be identified by project manager. After identifying the risks, these risks must be categorized. Some risks are low risk and some are high risk. So which is high risk and which is low risk? Based on the impact of risk on the project, based on the impact of risk on the procedure or work, it can be categorized. If the impact of risk is very high, if the risk raises, the project may affect very much, then that risk must be categorized as high risk. If the impact is very less, then the risk will be categorized as low risk. Like that, all the identified risks must be categorized. After categorization, we have to manage, we have to analyze all the identified and categorized risks. First of all, in this management, we must assess the probability of occurrence of risk at various stages. In which phase the risk may raise? What is the probability? This is another important procedure in managing the risk. In this risk management, in this manage, we have to plan how to avoid the risk or how to face the risk. At the same time, the project manager must try to minimize the impact of risk on the project. He must plan prior. If the risk rises, what to do? He must plan everything prior. So all this will come under that activity manage. And the fourth one, monitor. The project manager must continuously monitor whether the expected risk is rising or not. In the meantime, in the execution, in the creation time of the project, in the project development time, he must continuously follow whether the expected risk is rising or not. For that, he have to follow some prior symptoms. some symptoms will be raised if the risk is starting. So, the project manager must monitor all the risks. He must also monitor the effective steps that is taken to avoid the risk. Like that, risk management activities involves identification of the risk, categorize the risk, manage the risk, and monitor the risk. Another concept we are going to discuss is project communication management. Communication is very, very important for every project. So communication between the client and the software company is very, very important. This project communication management involves the following tasks. One is planning, the next one is sharing, feedback, and closure. What are all these activities? What are all these activities in project communication management? The first activity, planning. In this, we have to identify who are the stakeholders of the project. This step includes the identification of all the stakeholders in the company, in the project, who will participate, and which type of communication is required between them. So, in this planning, the project manager will identify the stakeholders of the project and what type of communication is required in this communication. This will be first one. And the next one is sharing. In this, after determining various aspects of planning, the project manager focus on sharing. That means correct information must be communicated to correct person. Who is the correct person to receive the correct information? Every information must not be communicated to all the persons. Correct information, a particular information must be communicated to the proper person only, the right person only. It must not be communicated to others. So, in this, to whom the information can be shared, it will be planned. That is the second one. And the third one is feedback. In this, the project manager uses various measures and feedback mechanisms. And he creates some status and performance reports also. As per the feedback taken from various persons, he will create reports. In this mechanism will ensure that input from various stakeholders and from various persons is coming to project manager as a feedback. So various persons will produce, various persons will provide their opinions, and that information will be taken as feedback by the project manager. This is the third activity in project communication. And the last one is closure. Means, in this, after completion of every phase of SDLC, software development life cycle, it must be informed to top level management that the activity or task or phase is completed successfully. It must be announced. If it is announced that particular phase is completed successfully, then that is called as closure. Like that, project communication management involves planning, sharing, feedback, and closure. Project configuration management. At the beginning of the project, client gives his requirements to the developer, what he is expecting, what he wants. He will give details to the developer. The client will give his requirements according to his language, as per the language he is using. The terminology used as per his business only. These requirements will be gathered by developer and these must be analyzed for correctness. After completion of this analysis of the given requirements, the developer prepares a document that is called as software requirement analysis, software requirement specification. In short, it is called as SRS, software requirement specification. This document contains all the finalized requirements given by the customer, and some requirements will be identified which are not given by customer. So whatever it may be, all the finalized requirements will be documented in this SRS. The development team follows these details from SRS document. As per the details, as per the requirements given in this document, they will develop the project. This process will be continued smoothly, but at a particular time, after completion of development of some project, at a particular time, the client may request for change of his requirements. That means the client may request to change the given requirement, or he may request to add extra requirements. Whatever it may be, this change of request is a critical problem and must be handled carefully, because this change of request at the middle of the project development will impact the previously completed task, the previously completed stages. So this must be handled carefully. This is called as configuration management. In this, the developer need to take some steps, need to perform some activities to handle this change of request carefully. Now today we will discuss what are the activities, what are the procedures they have to take in configuration management. Please follow this information on the board. That is first one, identification. Here we have some tasks: identification, validation, analysis, control, execution, and close request. These are the activities involved in configuration management. Let us discuss each one. First one is identification. The change of requirement, its request may come from internal or external source. So the developer must identify from where the request came. They must identify that first, and it must be documented properly. This is the first task, identification. The second one is validation. That means the requirement must be validated and some procedure must be identified, and its handling procedure must be identified and confirmed. That is the second stage, that is called as validation. And the third activity involved in this is analyze. The developer need to analyze whether the requirement is proper or not, is it compulsory or not, and they must also analyze the impact of this change of requirement on the project. That impact may be in terms of schedule, efforts, finance, maybe anything. What will be the impact of this change on the project? It must be analyzed. That is another stage. And the next stage is control. After analyze, they have to go for control. If the requirement change is mandatory, it is unavoidable, then the information must be passed to top level management about the change of request, about the impacts on the project, the impact of change of this requirement on the project, All these must be intimated to top level management, and they have to get approval from the management whether to change the request or not. The top level management again will check, will analyze, and they will take a decision to accept or reject. This will be handled in this control phase. If they approve, the top level management approve the change of this requirement, then we have to move forward to the next stage, that is called as execute. In this, the expected change, the change of requirement must be performed. To change the requirement, there will be some solutions will be identified. As per the solutions identified, how to change the request, how to change the requirement. For this, some solutions will be identified. These solutions must be applied. Then the change of request will be, the change of requirement will be performed. After completion of this, finally we have to move forward to next stage, that is close request. Means in the execution stage we will get some output. The change of requirement will be completed in execution stage. In this close request stage, first we have to merge the finalized output in the previous stage. We have to merge the finalized output in the previous stage to the completed stages. To the successfully completed stages are there. So the latest output must be merged to already completed development project, and we have to verify whether the recent output, the recent change is successfully updated in the previous stages or not. Is it properly fixing in the previous stage or not? If it is not properly merged, if it is not properly fixing, it's not working properly in the previous stages, then we have to rectify these problems. So, after successfully merging the latest change of requirement in the previous stages, then only we have to close the request. Like that, by performing all the tasks, that is what? Identification, validation, analysis, control, execute, and close request. By applying all the tasks only, we can manage this configuration, we can change the user requirement change. And related to the same configuration management, we have one more concept, that is baseline. What is a baseline? As we already discussed, every software development project contains several stages. We discussed in software development life cycle. So many activities will be planned in each stage. If a particular stage completed successfully, then that stage must be marked as baseline. Means if all the activities scheduled in a stage, if all the activities planned in a stage are successfully completed, there is no pending in that stage, then it must be marked as all the work is completed. So then we can call it as that stage is baseline. Like that, we have to mark the stage if it is successfully completed. These are the concepts of configuration management. Project management tools. The software project development is a very lengthy procedure. This contains several stages. This may take weeks, sometimes months and years also. While developing the project developer first plans everything, what to do and which stage, what are the tasks to be performed. Which stage will be performed in which week, in which month, everything they have to plan first. All these tasks will create some sort of confusion to the developer. This may create some ambiguous situation. To avoid these confusions, developers need to use some project management tools that describe the planned project. With the help of these project management tools, the developer will explain the tasks planned in each stage. At a particular time, which task will be performed? At a particular time, which activity will be performed? This must be represented graphically. This will give clear understanding to the particular developer and users and the remaining participants of the project. In these project management tools, we have several tools. In this, the first one we are going to discuss today is Gantt Chart. This is designed by Henry Gantt, that is in 1917. This chart will give us details about the activities in the project. Here as an example, we have taken 5 activities and we allocated 10 weeks. In which week, which activity will be performed? That is explained in this diagram. If you observe, the activities taken here are planning, designing, coding, testing and delivery. Please observe this diagram carefully. In this planning activity, this is planned for first 2 weeks. In first 2 weeks, no other activity allocated. That means, without completing the planning, we cannot do anything. So we cannot design, we cannot code, we cannot test. That's why no work is allotted in these 2 weeks. Only planning is allotted. And in third week, we have taken planning and designing also. Designing also started in third week. It means some planning work will be completed in first 2 weeks. The completed work will be started in design phase in third week. In third week, the designing of this planned work will be completed, will be executed. At the same time, simultaneously, the remaining planning work will be executed. That means in third week, 2 tasks will be executed. Planning and designing, these 2 will be performed simultaneously. After third week, the planning will be completed. So only designing will continue. For designing, here we allotted 3 weeks. 3, 4, 5. 3 weeks we allotted. After designing, we started coding in 6th week. So for coding, we allotted 6, 7, 8 weeks. Of course, here we have one possibility. We can start coding in 5th week also. This is to avoid time wastage, because some design will be completed in these 2 weeks. The completed design work can be coded in 5th week also. Like that also we can plan, that is to avoid time wastage. As per this diagram, we explain like this, but that way also possible. Okay, now the coding is planned for 6, 7, 8 weeks. In these 3 weeks, coding will be performed. At the same time, in 7th week, testing started. Means the coded work, which is in 6th week, will be tested in 7th week. So already completed coding will be continuously tested. So for testing, we allotted 6, 7, 8 weeks. Finally, for delivery, we allotted 10th week only. There is no simultaneous work. After completion of everything only, we allotted delivery. Means after completion of all the stages, after completion of testing also, then only we can deliver the product to the customer. That's why delivery is planned for last week, no other task is there. Like that, in which week we have to perform which task, in which week we have to perform which activity, how many weeks can be used for a particular activity. All this must be planned prior, and as per this only the project team must develop their project. This is one of the tools that helps us to identify the different activities and their sequence, and in which week which activity will be performed. Another project management tool is PERT chart, P-E-R-T, Program Evaluation and Review Technique. In this chart, the entire project will be viewed as a network. In this, important tasks are denoted in parallel. This will be explained as a network. In this, our project will be explained as a network. In this, important tasks are denoted using circles, numbered circles, and these tasks are interconnected using arrows, using labeled arrows. This will explain us the interdependency of task, means which task will be performed after which one. The sequence of execution of task will be explained with the help of this PERT diagram. This is another important project management tool. Another project management tool, that is resource histogram. In a project, we will have so many resources. We have to use several resources to develop the project. This resource utilization, this resource planning will be explained with the help of this resource histogram. In this example, here I am trying to explain the resource planned, human resource planned with the help of the diagram. Please observe this. In this table, we planned 7 days work. 7 days work we planned in this table, and 3 types of human resource we have taken: designer, developer and tester. In this, for first day we allotted 4 designer resource. 4 designers we allotted for first day. In this, no developers or testers are allotted, because at the beginning, without completing designing, we cannot do anything with developers and testers. That's why first day these 2 resources are not required. That's why we mention here it as 0. And in second day also, the designers will work. They will design. So in second day also, there is no need of developer and tester. That's why we mentioned as zeros. And if you go for third day, here it is, designers are 3 and developers are 1, because in first 2 days some designing work will be completed. The completed design work will be developed by 1 developer. That's why here we allotted 1 developer, because the previous 2 days designing work will be a little. So to handle that little bit of designing work, 1 developer is sufficient. Here we should not waste human resource. That's why we are utilizing it carefully. And in 4th day, 3 designers will design, and we increased developers also. 2 developers will develop, because in 3 days the designing work will be increased. Its quantity will be increased. So to handle the design work, here we need 2 developers. And if you go for 5th day, here the developers increased and design has decreased because most of the work will be, designing work will be completed at this stage. So, lot of development work will be in pending. So, to handle that lot of development work, we increased developers, that is 4. At the same time, we introduced 2 testers here also. What they will do? In the previous 2 days, 3rd day and 4th day, some development work will be completed. So, that completed development work must be tested by testers. So, 2 testers will test the completed work here. 4 developers will develop and 2 designers will design. And in 6th day also, we allotted 2 designers and 4 developers and 2 testers. For testing, we need not allot much more employees, because there will be several tools to test the developed work. With the help of these testing tools, we can easily test the developed work. So, here we allotted only 2 developers. And the last day, we allotted only 1 designer and 3 developers and 2 testers. So, almost designing work will be completed at 6th day. So, only 1 designer we allotted here. And that design work must be completed by 3 developers. And 2 testers will test the completed work in the previous days. Like that, using this resource histogram, we have to plan what are the human resources required. For first day, this much of resources is required. For second day, this is required. For third day, this is required. Total number of human resources required. This can be planned and this can be studied with the help of this resource histogram. Another project management tool is critical path analysis. This is also another project management tool. Critical path analysis. Let us see what is this. This tool is used to recognize interdependent tasks in a project. There will be so many tasks in a project. So this helps us to find out interdependency of tasks. At the same time, this is to identify the shortest path in an identified solution. That means for a problem, there will be so many solutions. One solution will be lengthy and another solution will be shortest. So, this also helps us to identify the shortest path, which is the shortest path, which is the easiest path. This can be examined with the help of this critical path analysis. Like path chart, in this critical path analysis, all the activities, all the tasks are denoted as notes and which task will be performed after which task. That means the sequence of tasks to be performed will be explained with the help of this critical path analysis. The events will be arranged according to their possible start time. At the same time, path between 2 tasks will be identified, and the lengthy path will be identified, the shortest path will be identified. From those, the shortest path and easiest path will be identified. So, like that, to identify interdependency of tasks, to identify the shortest path, this critical path analysis will be used.